Good Sunday morning as we take a live look over Denver. You see, there's no snow there anymore because all of that's melting off. Welcome to Colorado, where it's sunny and 70 today, and yeah, not exactly like that yesterday. It was a little storm that we got yesterday. Thanks so much for waking up with us. I'm Mark Salinger.
And I'm Anusha Roy. Did not a fan of that, not in late April, but, and I never say this, I have been waiting for the end of the weekend because, Chris Bianchi, this is when we finally start that warm up, and it lasts for a little bit.
And it's going to last for a little bit. Exactly.
Will we hit 70 today?
Not 70 today. But
I lied.
60 today.
That's nice.
It's gonna. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna feel like Hawaii compared to the last few days. Right? I mean, I don't think we've climbed above 40 degrees since 8 p.m. on Wednesday night.
Oh
also,
my gosh.
So we've been stuck in the upper 30s, low 40s for the last couple of days. Good news is, if you want the sunshine, you want the warmer weather, you are going to get it pretty soon here. But again, a couple more hours of that sunshine to go, then things warm on up. So morning fog, patchy this morning. It's really seeing around Fort Collins and Greeley, but sunshine, this is not a drill. It will turn sunny. Big warm up starts this afternoon. Dense fog advisory goes until 9 a.m. Northeastern Weld, as well as parts of Logan counties under that, as well as the Palmer Divide and the foothills west of Denver. The good news is right now, well, I need to be corrected there. Look at that in Lakewood and Fort Collins, where we're talking about a 1/10 of a mile of visibility or less. In Fort Collins, 0.0 means that we're talking about a couple hundred feet of visibility right now. So that is certainly going to be an issue. At least good news in terms of air travel. We saw some big impacts at the airport last night due to the fog. Right now, 5-mile visibility. That is not going to be limiting flights in or out of the airport. So that is at least some good news. Today, temperatures low 60s for us. Temperatures right now, we're right at freezing at the airport. That means there's probably some de-icing going on. Also worth noting, if you were driving this morning, that this is freezing fog. So that means that we're talking about some of those issues right now with the roads. So bridges and overpasses will freeze over first. Highs today, low to mid 60s, even warmer tomorrow. Details on that in my full forecast.
All right, thanks so much for that. Right now, a 17-year-old girl is being treated for life-threatening injuries following a shooting that happened this weekend. It happened around 1 a.m. Saturday near an apartment complex on South Black Hawk Street near East Mississippi in Aurora. So far, it is unclear where exactly she was shot or who shot her. No arrests have been made. If you do happen to know anything, you are asked to call Crime Stoppers.
It was a big day on Saturday at the CU Anschutz Medical Campus. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden was in town promoting several White House initiatives. She participated in a roundtable discussion to talk about women's health research.
We will start to write news stories about women's health, ones where women leave doctors' offices with more answers than questions, where no woman or girl has to hear that, hey, it's all in your head, or it's just stress. We'll never hear that again.
The First Lady coming into town for that perfect timing for that spring snowstorm. She'll then move on to Nashville on Monday to honor the late singer Patsy Cline.
Want to get to an update about a major traffic mess in central Colorado. CDOT is now working with the feds to figure out how to temporarily fix the bridge that's over the Blue Mesa Reservoir. It's connecting Gunnison to Montrose. The bridge was shut down this last week after engineers found cracks in the structure. The current detour is more than 300 miles long. It includes hours to the north or hours to the south. This weekend, CDOT is also working with local officials to find a limited local detour so that at least local traffic can move through the area. That detour could open as early as tomorrow.
At the state capitol this weekend, the House advanced legislation on a preliminary vote that would improve protections for gig workers. The bill would provide greater protections for people who work to deliver food and goods for companies like Uber and DoorDash. It would require greater transparency to show drivers how much money they're getting paid and how much they'll take home after a gig. A 2022 report by Colorado Jobs with Justice found most gig workers own about $5.49 per hour after expenses. Denver's minimum wage, of course, $15.87. However, none of the delivery platforms surveyed had any hourly wages that were greater than $9.
This weekend, the State House also passed legislation requiring gun owners to have liability insurance for their firearms. Bill sponsor says that this is to encourage responsible gun ownership. Passed out of the House 33-29. If it ultimately is passed and signed into law, it would require liability insurance that covers losses or damages to a person who is hurt from an accident accidental or unintentional discharge of a firearm. The proposed bill, however, still has several steps ahead of it before becoming law.
Developing right now, 2 people are dead and several others were injured during a massive block party in Memphis, Tennessee late Saturday night. A shooting started in the middle of that gathering where hundreds of people were. Memphis police believe at least 2 people opened fire at the party where more than 200 people were celebrating. So far, no suspects in custody. It's still unclear what led to the shooting. Several victims were able to drive themselves to the hospital. One remains in critical condition this morning. Investigators say they've received video footage from the scene and are looking to see who is responsible.
Lawmakers in Washington have been working through a rare weekend session to pass aid packages for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. The bills open up $95 billion in funding for our allies. It comes after months of impasse on Capitol Hill, with Republicans and Democrats finally coming together to pass that legislation. The bills will now move on to the Senate, where they are expected to pass. From there, President Joe Biden has said that he plans to sign them. More than $60 billion will go to Ukraine to help them fight off the Russian invasion. Ukraine's President Zelensky said that he was very grateful to the U.S.
And in that same aid package, lawmakers were also able to pass a 4th bill that includes sanctions on Iran and Russia, as well as a measure that could lead to a potential ban on TikTok. That would keep the platform out of U.S. app stores unless it cuts ties with its Chinese parent company. All 4 of those bills will now be combined before they head to the Senate for a vote.
Looking ahead to this week, opening statements will start in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial. This past week, 12 jurors and 6 alternates were selected to sit in on that trial. It is made up of 7 men and 5 women. During the trial, the prosecution plans to use Trump's past legal run-ins against him when he does testify. The judge is expected to rule on what prosecutors can bring up before opening statements start. The trial is expected to last 6 to 8 weeks.
And the Trump campaign and the National Republican Committee are pledging to deploy 100,000 volunteers and lawyers to monitor vote counting in battleground states for November's election. It comes from the party where leaders have falsely claimed without any evidence that the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. The RNC and the Trump campaign said they plan to recruit and train poll watchers, poll workers, and attorneys to monitor voting sites. The party said it plans to establish election integrity hotlines in each battleground state. Many party leaders, including former President Trump, still claim that votes were stolen in the 2020 election. Many court battles have found that is not true.